Hey, what's up, everybody? How you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School, Your Black World. Welcome to Intellectual Chocolate, where we talk about all the issues that Black people should be talking about, but don't always talk about, as well as hear from the people that you're not going to hear from in mainstream media. Now, before I begin, I would like to ask you politely, just asking you humbly if you could do me a quick favor, and if you're on YouTube or Instagram or your grandma's Twitter account, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and hit the share button and hit the like button. Hit all the buttons to make sure everybody and their mama knows that the revolution is being televised and is happening right here. Real Black people are taking over. Smart Black people are moving things ahead. We're doing the damn thing. This will be the age of the intelligent Black man and not the ignorant sons of bitches who misrepresent the Black community. Now, I want to talk about something that I saw in media that, it kind of reminded me of my days when I was teaching at Syracuse University. As you know, I was on the faculty at Syracuse for about 13 years. After I finished my PhD at Ohio State in finance. And one of the things that I, remember kind of dealing with and being very frustrated by was the systematic racism that I had to deal with as a faculty member at that university. I remember just sort of, just kind of feeling that you're being sold a false bill of goods, that you're kind of being lied to a little bit. I remember the first day I came in on that job. They hadn't hired a Black person or promoted a Black person in my department in over 100 years, I think, at least 50 years, 50, 60 years. There were no Black people on the job. And I remember being surrounded. And I was surrounded by a lot of white people who really thought that they were good people. They really thought that they had figured this damn racism thing out. A lot of people, a lot of people in the north, northeast, etc., maybe in the west and Hollywood or whatever, they kind of feel like they sort of escaped this racism thing. They kind of look at a situation like Charlottesville and they say, by God, I would never be a neo-Nazi. I'd never do that. Hate is wrong and racism is wrong. And they really kind of feel like they've escaped that web. And I think those of us who kind of understand racism on a deeper level kind of realize that nobody escapes that web. Nobody escapes white supremacy and the belief in white supremacy and the commitment to white supremacy, even Black people. I know a lot of Black people who are deeply committed to white supremacy. As my homeboy Cleo Monago, who was in our film Resurrecting Black Wall Street, said, he said there are a lot of Black white supremacists. There are a lot of Black people who truly believe that white people are better. They believe white systems are superior. They believe the white schools are better. They want their kids to go to, the universities run by white folks. They want they want to win Oscars and Grammys and other imaginary awards invented by white people because they want white people to validate them because that's what they need in order to feel whole. And it's a disease. It's a mental illness. It affects all of us, myself included. I grew up as a Black boy in Kentucky, and I remember growing up believing fully and completely that being Black meant that I was second rate, that I was inferior, and I'd spend the rest of my life overcoming that. One of the things you don't understand, I spoke to a really respected psychologist, a therapist the other day, and she said that the subconscious mind is manipulated by three major things. Symbols, repetition, and trauma. Symbols, repetition, and trauma. Those are the three things that get your subconscious mind. So symbols of white supremacy are pretty much everywhere. They constantly remind you that white people are better. Everything you see in media, when you grow up as a little Black girl, you see all the little white girls, on TV, and you want to be like the white women because you feel like that's what's going to make you better. So you start doing things. You start valuing lighter skin and the stringy hair and all that. The corporations that are run by whites, you see those as being superior, as being efficiently run, and you see Black businesses as kind of being second rate. Universities, you see Harvard, Yale, Stanford as sort of the gold standard. And then you see HBCUs as kind of being maybe the crappy schools that you go to if you can't get into Harvard, Yale, or Stanford. So those are the symbols. And then you go deeper, you talk about repetition. One area where white supremacy is repeated consistently on a regular basis is through music. And many times it comes through the voice of Black rappers who constantly remind Black dudes that you ain't nothing but a thug, nigga. You out here, you supposed to disrespect Black women, murder Black men whenever possible, throw all your money away, walk away from education at every available opportunity. opportunity, brag about going to prison and all this other nonsense that doesn't make any sense, that ruins your life. And so the repetition sinks in. And again, because we don't understand psychology, we think, oh, no, it don't affect me. It ain't nothing but music. Well, ain't no such thing as ain't nothing but music. I mean, they call it programming for a reason. They call it programming for a reason. Trauma comes in the form of, just all kinds of experiences. I remember being traumatized when I was 15, and and it was the one time in my life, where I ever caught the fancy of a white girl or let her catch my fancy. Now, white girls have probably liked me since then, but I don't pay attention to that. I think black women are the most gorgeous women on the earth, and I can't look past the sisters, But I'll tell you what, when I was 15, this little white girl got my attention, and I thought that, everything was cool. And I remember her daddy had a big issue with her dating a black boy, and I did not understand how this man who was, who seemed pretty nice to me, for some reason he didn't like me. And I was like, well, why don't you like me? Like, I thought we were friends, and it really hurt. It was very traumatic, and that trauma stayed with me. I never dated a white girl again after that. And I'm glad I didn't, because I believe in the black family. As you know, we were in New York and we made a film called The Black Love Blueprint. And although we did feature one interracial couple, you won't ever see me on any receiving or giving in on any interracial couple. I will not. One day I will be married. In about probably 6 years, I will announce that Dr. Boyce Watkins is getting married. And I won't be marrying Becky Sue. I will be marrying Shaquanda, Shaquita, Boniqua. I'm joking. I'm playing. It won't be a Boniqua or Shaquita. Actually, I think I kind of might know who I want to marry, but I'll tell you that later. So anyway, here's the point. Here's what I want to dig into with that. When I think about my experience at Syracuse University, it made me think about how you have so many examples of white folks that really, I truly believe in their heart want to do the right thing. I really do. I just think that, unfortunately, they haven't really been sort of trained to understand the severity of their problem in terms of their commitment to white supremacy. And one example might be Lady Gaga. Now, let me tell you what happened with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, she tweeted, after all this stuff in Charlottesville and all that, she said, according to the Griot, she said, quote, "For the black community, tell us ways the non-racist white community who loves you can do better to help influence the country." Well, apparently Amanda Seales, who's an actress on the show Insecure on HBO, very good show, created by that one lady, I forgot her name, but Issa Rae, she's doing a great job. She went off on Twitter, apparently. She said, "Dear non-racist white folks, asking black people to tell I what to do is not helpful. Use your resources. Gaga should have said, my fellow non-racist white people, it's time we further educate ourselves and get to work on being the generation to end racism." Then she said, "It's not every black person's role to educate white folks on how to fix their racist system. I'm appalled at anyone who suggests it is. Y'all can keep on playing mammy and raising white women's children if you want to. I'd rather work with folks who research and take action." Okay. All right. So apparently Amanda Seales is feeling pretty passionate about it. I respect her for speaking her mind. I think this is a smart lady. In fact, I'm going to go ahead right now while I'm watching. I'm going to follow her on Twitter because it seems like she's committed to being the strongest black woman she can be. So she just gained one new Twitter follower. Now, with that being said, let me talk about this a little bit and kind of give an honest perspective on this. I have to admit that what Lady Gaga said did not bother me that much. I don't look at Lady Gaga as any sort of political leader or a person who is going to save the world from racism. I don't even know if that's in her job description. I think Lady Gaga is a great performer, and from what I know about the industry, from what I understand, she had a lot of black influence and black support when she first got started. I met a brother one time that I believe I was told was Lady Gaga's manager, but I'm not 100% sure. I got to double check. So, I think that she sounds like a person that really wants to learn. She really wants to figure some things out. I think that her tweet was okay. I think that Amanda's reaction was a product of the trauma that black people go through. We're in a way, sometimes being a black person, a black woman, especially because black women are so mistreated by so many people, including some of these silly ass black men who don't respect women. Sometimes you can end up biting the hand that's feeding you, or somebody can offer you, like an abused puppy. Think about an abused puppy that, when you reach out to pet it and it bites your hand off because the trust has been kind of killed from trauma from another experience. Or you date or a man dates a woman and says, hey, what can I do to make you happy? And she goes off and says, I should not have to tell you what's going to make me happy. I'm tired of educating you on what I want. You need to just stop it and just need to take action, right? Well, maybe that's maybe that's a little bit too much, right? I can say that. I can say it as a man. Sometimes as a man, you feel stupid. Have you ever gone through that? I don't know if you've gone through that, where you ask your partner, like, well, what can I do to make you, happier, to be a better man? What can I do? And they expect you to know it, and they expect you to have read their mind, and you're kind of like, well, I don't know how to do that. All I know is what you tell me, or if I'm serving food at a restaurant and I say, well, what would you like to eat? You look hungry. Is there something I can get for you? What would you like? And you say, well, you should know what I want to eat. You should be in there cooking. Don't be in here asking me what I want. I'm tired of educating you on what I want. I think that's too much, right? So I think that Amanda could have found a more tactful way to respond. I don't think that she had to go that hard. I wouldn't have gone that hard myself because I see racism in America in a couple of contexts. I see it first and foremost kind of as this weird mental illness that affects everyone. White supremacy is everywhere. It's in the fabric of the DNA of our society. So let's stop acting like some of us are immune to it. I think when Lady Gaga says, what can non-racist white people do? Well, what you probably need to go ahead and do is take out the term non-racist. The first step you might be able to take is to admit that you are racist, like the rest of us are. A lot of Americans are racist in the sense of believing in white supremacy. I told you, a lot of black folks grew up on white supremacy, myself included. I for a long time, to this day, am fighting against my own inclination to support white supremacy. It's kind of a mental illness that affects everybody, because it's, again, a deep part of your programming as a human being in this country. So I think that for Lady Gaga, and this is just, I'm thinking about when I was trying to become a better man and not be so sexist and work through sexism and show respect for women. I mean, genuine respect, right? I remember the first thing I knew I had to do was admit that I'm sexist, that we all are, and that, I need to sort of work on that and not sort of come at the problem from a self-righteous point of view. Like, well, as a non-sexist man, what can I do to make women feel better? Well, no, I'm sexist too. We all are. So obviously you start by working on yourself and asking, what can you do a little bit better? But I think, similarly though, I think that this whole idea that the racial conversation has to be something that is occurring between white and black people, that white supremacy is something that will be fixed by, powerful white people doing the right thing. I don't really believe in that. I really don't. I don't, because racism and white supremacy, it isn't just, first and foremost, it's not just a matter of a person not liking somebody because of the color of their skin. I could give a fuck less if a skinhead, neo-Nazi, KKK member likes me or not. I don't care. I don't care. He's a dumbass, toothless redneck from the hills of Tennessee. As long as you keep that gun in your house, if you bring the gun out, I might have to bring my gun too. But if you just say I don't like niggers, I'm not gonna go on a Twitter rant about how hurtful it was to hear you say you don't like niggers. Okay, I don't like you either. How about that? At the end of the day, does it really matter if somebody likes you or not? No. What matters is competition. Are you competing in this world? Do you think Steph Curry wakes up every morning and says, my God, I just want to be friends with LeBron, and I hope LeBron's not too mad at me for winning the championship today. Gosh, I just want LeBron. I need LeBron's approval. He's so mean to me, and he said these evil things about me. It hurt my feelings. That would sound stupid. It sounds pathetic. So, to me, what I think black people have to really accept, and this is me talking to black folks, not just talking to well-intended white folks, you got to understand, you live in a competitive society, and it shouldn't really matter who likes you or not. Who likes you doesn't, why does it matter so much that they approve of you? Why does it matter when they say that they hate you? Also, why is it, because here's one of the stupid things that you end up doing when somebody comes at you with hate. You say well, we're going to come back with love. We're going to come back with forgiveness. Make sure we forgive. They're going to be violent, but we're going to be peaceful, and we're going to forgive, and we're going to come back with the love army, and we're going to love ourselves out of this hole. Well, goddamn it, okay, go love a white supremacist, KKK, whatever the hell. You go love those sons of bitches. I don't love none of them motherfuckers. I love my people. Period. That's who I love. That's who I'm looking out for. I'm looking out for my family. Then I'm looking out for my community, and then other people's communities. I assume they're going to look out for their own as well. And that's how the world works. The world works based on competition. The world does not work based on somebody giving you a handout or taking care of you. I think that black people collectively, one of our biggest challenges is that we feel like we are like the adopted stepchildren of the American family. We are like that child who never had any parents, who is living with some people who never gave birth to them. And the child is like, I need a mommy. Can you be my mommy? I need a daddy. Can you be my daddy? I need somebody to pick me up after school. I need somebody to love me. Can you love me? And it's sad. It's sad, right? Because at the end of the day, when that child is like, "Are you my daddy?" You're like, "No, your daddy's your damn daddy. Where's your daddy at?" Right? Well, but that's what kind of happens, especially economically. When Dr. Claude Anderson said in his book Powernomics, where he said that or he didn't say it in Powernomics, but he's the author of Powernomics, and he said that it's criminal that you send your children across town to go beg another community to employ your child. That's criminal. Other communities don't do that. They don't do that. And the reason you think it's okay to do that is because you've been misled into believing that you are somehow equitable partners in this thing called the American dream, or this experiment called America, that you are a fully respected member of the American family with all rights that are included with that. That's why you march. That's why you rally. That's why you show up and you vote for Hillary Clinton or whatever Democrat they wave in your face at election season, because you really believe you have this hope. Hope is fed to you. Pay attention how many politicians use the word hope as a campaign slogan. They feed you hope that one day, like Pinocchio, if you behave and follow the rules, and one day you'll become a real boy. You're hoping that one day, that if you really commit yourselves to this American dream that's not being offered to you, if you commit yourself to these American institutions, that one day they're going to make you a real human being. You're going to become a real boy or a real girl, and you're going to become fully human. And what's going to happen is similar to maybe the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz. Remember how the Scarecrow and the Lion and they all went to the wizard? Like, that's you going to the white man. They went to the wizard saying, "Give me a heart, give me a brain, give me courage," whatever the hell it was that they were looking for. And then Dorothy was like, "No, it was always inside of you. You decide if you want to have, you already have courage. You already have a brain. You already have a heart," right? Well, black folks, you already were somebody before white folks decided that they want to acknowledge you. And the reason it's important for you to know that you're somebody is because if you don't feel whole, then you're always going to have a void that you're going to allow other people to fill in all the wrong ways. You're going to look for love in all the wrong places, like a poor little girl who's looking for love from her daddy. So she dates one pimp after another, one abusive asshole after another, because she's looking to fill a void, and that void is being filled with poison. That void becomes a vulnerability that men can use to exploit her, because they can see that she's not a complete person. So for black people, because you have that void, you go through life as an incomplete person, and people exploit that vulnerability. They say, well, hey, if you don't behave, if you get out of line, then we're going to fire you from this job. So that exploits your economic vulnerability. Or hey, if you don't behave, you're not going to get this Oscar or this Grammy or some other stupid award that we made up. Well, then that's exploiting the void in your self-esteem, in your dignity, because you need an Oscar in order for you to feel like you're good at what you do. You need to be acknowledged. Or if you don't behave, then we're not going to give you that promotion on that job, which is pretty much an artificial title invented by an institution that was created by another person to somehow create a false sense of accomplishment. You need to be able to say, "Mama, I made it. Look at me," in order for you to feel whole. And the reason that it's very important for you to find a way to make yourself whole is because if you think about it like that little girl, if she knows who she is and is confident in who she is, then a man can't come along with a bag of Cheetos and $10 and get her to do any old nasty thing that he wants her to do because she's like, no, I'm all right. I'm economically whole. Me and my dad, we got a business together, so I don't need your money. Oh, no, I know I'm emotionally whole. I don't need you to tell me I'm pretty in order for me to know I'm beautiful. I know I'm beautiful. I just appreciate you confirming what I already know about myself. Right? She's going to be in a much stronger negotiating position. So ultimately, for Black people, I think that when you have this racial conversation, and this is what I'm seeing here when I see Black folks talk about race with white folks, it becomes like this really awkward, sort of like almost like a degrading, demeaning process where you're saying, why don't you just like us? Like why don't you stop hating us? Like the hate, it hurts. I mean, it makes me cry. Black lives matter, and it's not right for you to think that way, right? We sound whiny and weak. And the thing about being whiny and weak is that whiny and weak doesn't get you shit in a competitive society. The world is competitive. The world is not about whiny, weak people getting anything worth having. Whiny, weak people pretty much get the scraps. That's what whiny, weak people get. So look at life. The whiny, weak little guy on the corner who's begging you for money. You're not gonna give him your rent money. You're not gonna give him thousands of dollars. You're gonna give him whatever change is left in your pocket if you have extra money, right? But the competitor is the person who goes out and they don't beg you for anything. They go out and they work for it. They earn it. They build it. They create it. And so I think that for Black people to be truly strong, we have to sort of stop looking for emotional charity from white people. Stop looking for emotional charity. Stop asking them to like you. I think it's better to demand that they respect you, and the way they demand that they respect you is when you ain't coming up in there always with your hand out. You've got something that's your own. I don't sit down very often with white men ever, actually, not for the last decade, where I've asked for anything. I don't ask. I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's a partnership opportunity, maybe I'll consider it. But I don't do that, and it makes it for an easier conversation because I'm not sitting there hat in hand, head down, kind of hoping that this guy likes me well enough for him to give me an opportunity. You ain't got to give me nothing. I read books like An Empire of Their Own, How the Jews Invented Hollywood, and I read about the man who created Paramount Pictures, the guy who created Universal Studios, the guy who created MGM, the guy who created 20th Century Fox, and I said, well, goddamn, ain't this something else? These people just came out of oppression, out of Hungary, where they were being treated as badly as Black people are in a lot of ways. They were outsiders, and they just said, let's come in here and let's think like investors and let's build some of our own. And then after a while, they wasn't begging to nobody for nothing. People were begging to them. People were trying to get their approval because they wanted to be down with what they were doing. They didn't try to join the mainstream. They became the mainstream, and other people were trying to break in. I like that plan. I think that's a hell of a plan for Black people. I'm like, that's the plan I'm on. So I ain't marching Black Lives Matter. I ain't sitting up in Charlottesville mad about what a KKK skinhead did. I mean, don't get me wrong. The violence is terrible. I mean, God bless the people who died for what they believed in and everything else. But I'm saying that Black folks got to have a master plan. And the master plan can't be the master plan. The master plan is that Massa going to come along and he going to do the right thing. And Massa and his friends are going to come together and make things right. Well, let me tell you like this. Look, you should be glad that Lady Gaga, God, you know what? Bless Lady Gaga. I respect Lady. Good for you, Lady Gaga. I honor and I acknowledge and appreciate the fact that you're sort of owning up to white folks' bullshit. I like that about her. I think it's great. Now, do I think Lady Gaga can solve racism on her own? No, she can't. But at the same time, I think it's great. But at the end of the day, I ain't waiting for Lady Gaga. I ain't waiting for Hillary Clinton. I ain't waiting for no non-racist white people to come together and end a system that I believe is more deeply connected to human nature than you would like to believe. I believe that dominance over weak people is kind of a natural thing that happens all throughout the animal planet. I believe that. I believe strong elephants dominate weak elephants. I believe strong bears dominate weak bears. Strong people dominate weak people. So my concern, my thought is, well, how do we become the strong people? Why must we always be the weak? Before I move on, let me remind you the All Black National Convention is taking place September 29th through October 1st. You can learn more at allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. That's our annual get together where we're going to do it black, 100% black. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be at Simmons College of Kentucky in Louisville, Kentucky. The school's headed by Dr. Kevin Cosby. Simmons is the 107th HBCU in America, founded by former slaves, and so it's also going to be the home of the Dr. Boyce Watkins Economic Empowerment Institute. So it's going down September 29th. Make sure you mark it on your calendar. Get your plane tickets. Come on down. Set up your hotel. Hang out with us for 3 days. We're going to be doing it big, and I'll be flying in from Guyana to do that. I'm in Guyana right now, as you know. If you want to follow the journey in Guyana, the hashtag on Twitter and Instagram, where you can see all my pictures and my little rants about Guyana, you can find those at drboyceguyana.com. That's Dr. Boyce Guyana, Guyana, not Ghana. Guyana. It's in South America. It's a black country, beautiful black people. I don't think I've seen a white person all week. Excuse me. And I'm not kidding. I'm trying to think about any white people I've seen. I've not seen a white person all week, which is very strange. I've seen black people and Indian people, or West Indian people, which pretty much is black. That's been interesting, but I have not seen any white people. Scratch that. I did see one white lady at the embassy. That's right. When you're an American, they treat you all special and stuff. So we went to the embassy and stuff. But anyway, to kind of keep it going, I think it's also important for black people to kind of understand racism and kind of how it works and what it is. Racism and white supremacy is a system. It's not about how people feel and what people are thinking, whether or not somebody likes you. Racism and white supremacy is a system that is built on power imbalances. It's a system in which basically white folks have all the power, black folks don't have power, at least in those particular systems. Why do white folks have most of the money in America and black people don't? Well, it's because white people spent 300-400 years stealing stuff from black people. Slave labor was one of the major driving forces in the great wealth of this country. So therefore, the United States government and all people connected to it owe black people probably about $14 trillion. That give or take $1 trillion or $2 trillion. I don't think they're ever going to repay, because they're never going to even repay the national debt, which is about $20 trillion. So I personally think that they're never really going to pay reparations, but I do think that we should fight for reparations. In fact, at the All Black National Convention, the theme of the convention is going to be reparations. That's what we're going to talk a lot about. So I hope you'll come by and join the conversation. Now, so what you have to kind of realize is that when you talk about these systems and these processes, and this might be, something good for a Lady Gaga to kind of understand, is that, if you really want to sort of, if you are a person that wants to do your best to help address racism, well, the first thing you got to do is kind of acknowledge that you got ahead, your people got ahead by stealing somebody else's shit. And so when you steal somebody's shit, you got to give the shit back. Now, are black people going to show up at your house with torches and chainsaws, demanding their money back? Probably not. Black people have been trained to be very passive, which is very fortunate for white folks, because I don't think white folks would have gone through what black people have gone through and still remain forgiving and passive. We had to be trained to be this way. But at the same time, a condition of reconciliation, one condition of reconciliation must be, look, you got to acknowledge what you stole. So a Lady Gaga, you can sit around all day and say, oh, look at how many black friends I have, or I support a black charity, or I think black people are okay, or I use my Twitter and I spoke out against racism. I think that's wonderful. But really, at the end of the day, you probably should advocate for the idea of your government writing a gigantic check to rectify the wrongs that have been done based on race in the last 400 years. You will hear Democrats that run for office that will go to black churches and get the black vote, and it pisses me off every time. What they'll do is they'll go up in there and they'll tell black people all about their voting rights. Oh, racist Republicans are trying to take your voting rights. Racist Republicans are trying to take your voting rights. Well, that doesn't help you. That's almost like, the Democrats fighting for black voting rights is like a husband getting his wife a vacuum cleaner for Christmas. That's what that is. Here, lady, here's a better vacuum cleaner. Now you can clean my floor even better than you did before. Here's some more. Here's a better broom so you can sweep the floor a little bit better. That doesn't really help black people It really helps those that we put in power. And then what happens is we put them in power, they don't do what they're supposed to do. So what is interesting to me is that while you will have these Democratic candidates that will talk all day about black people's voting rights, they say nothing about black economic rights. So if you want to know what I would look for politically before I consider supporting any candidate is how much are you talking about black folks' economic rights? Now, I'm not talking about helping black people get jobs working for white people. Again, that helps you. That doesn't really help us to become a bunch of employees. It helps us temporarily, but it doesn't help us long term because people who think like employees, they end up powerless. Many of them end up broke. They end up not owning any property. So no, we don't want all of that. That's like helping somebody rent an apartment. Yeah, it'll keep them from being homeless for a while, but they never actually own anything. So you're playing checkers, not chess. You're winning the battle and losing the war. Instead, why don't we talk about a massive government plan to write checks in the trillions over a decade that will lead to vast economic opportunities for black people, support for black businesses. I'm talking major multi-billion-dollar support and loans and everything else for black businesses so that black people can develop our own infrastructure. A Marshall Plan for black people. I'm talking about a real Marshall Plan, not one with jobs. Jobs are nice. Jobs are cool. Give out a few jobs. That's great. But I would personally like to see black people having jobs working for other black people where they're going to be safe, not more black people working for white folks where they're going to be mistreated every day. I know a lot of Negroes that got jobs and they ain't happy. They ain't happy, and they wonder like, why am I successful? Why did I went to Harvard, damn it, and I'm one of the best attorneys at the firm, and they go home every day pissed off. I'm talking about hypertension, heart disease, stressed out, kidneys failing, whatever it is, because you're having all these health effects and these psychological effects from the fact that you're going to work every day with people who hate your guts. So personally, I think that if people like a Lady Gaga want to really help out, maybe Lady Gaga's watching this video. I don't know. I mean, it seemed like she was trying to do the right thing. I'm not going to get mad at a white person for trying to do the right thing. If you really want to do the right thing, okay, cool. Fight for reparations. Fight for reparations. You do that, then I might actually acknowledge and show some respect for a Lady Gaga or anybody else. But truth is, at the end of the day, I'm not waiting for Lady Gaga to save my community. In a way, if you think about it, the reparations debate is kind of like, imagine if you lived in a house and you lived in a poor neighborhood and you had a friend who lived in a wealthy neighborhood and you worked for your friend who lived in the wealthy neighborhood. And the reason that your friend has more money than you, the reason they own the business, the reason they have all the land is because 2 generations ago, their grandfathers stole everything that your grandfather and grandmother had. Their grandparents stole everything. And so you find this out and you see this motherfucker still wants to be your friend. But yet at the same time, he won't acknowledge his connection nor the fact that he benefits directly from what his grandfather stole from your grandparents. So at the end of the day, my feeling is like, look, you're lucky I didn't come over and bust you upside your head. But but at the end of the day, don't come over here trying to be my friend. Don't come over here saying we shall overcome holding hands, trying to eat chicken with me and my relatives. You are not welcome here. You are not one of us. We are not cool. This is not over. This has not been reconciled until you go back and do a thorough investigation of everything that your family stole from mine and you pay up with interest, compound interest. And that's a scary conversation to have. In fact, it's an illogical, it's an unnatural conversation. Greed takes over at that point. I don't believe human beings are wired to give away power. I don't believe that guy is ever going to find a reason to feel comfortable giving away the power and the wealth that makes him comfortable. He's not going to do it. He ain't going to do it. You're going to have to enforce that law. So outside of going up in his house, I'm talking about running up in his house with some guns and baseball bats saying, give me my shit. If that's not who you are, which I'm not recommending, I'm just saying, I'm just laying the analogy out in plain English. Outside of that, at the very least, my feeling might be, look, I'm going to forgive you for all of that because I don't really want that drama. I'm not trying to fight you. I need this job right now to support my family, so I'm going to keep on working for you. But don't show up here acting like we cool. Don't show up here acting like we friends. Don't show up here acting like all of this was magically created through happenstance. No, it occurred because you stole from me. Your family stole from my family, and I will not forgive you ever. So when you need a favor from me, you want me to come vote for you, the answer is no. You want me to come and act like we're buddies, the answer is no. You want me to endorse you as if we're friends, the answer is no, because you stole from me and I have not forgotten that. That is my position on reparations. That is why I don't support the Hillary Clintons of the world. That is why I think most of the conversations on race in this country are absolute total bullshit, because you're not dealing with the real issue. The real issue is the fact that something was stolen and it was not properly recompensed. It was not given back. That's the core issue. So again, if a Lady Gaga wants to do the right thing, she'll talk about reparations. She'll educate herself on reparations and use her platform as Lady Gaga to talk to white people about reparations. But I mean, shit, that takes a lot of courage. She'll probably lose a lot of fans because white folks don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that they have anything to do, or that they've never benefited from racism and white supremacy, when the fact is that you have. I mean, it is what it is. So to some extent, while I might say that Amanda was wrong to be so vehement toward Lady Gaga and kind of nasty, I didn't really like that as much. At the same time, I understand it entirely. It's just like, okay, yeah. You want to do the right thing? Well, I mean, if you want to do the right thing, then give the shit back. You know, find a way to give the shit back. You do that, then we're even. We'll be square. So anyway, I'm about to get to work. So by the way, don't forget, make sure you sign up, join our list at drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. You have to get on the list because Facebook is trying to ban us every day, and it's crazy. You talk stuff like this online. Facebook is racist. Again, that's white supremacy in action. That's racism. This big platform dominated by white people pretty much uses its power to oppress and squash black voices. So basically, Facebook is trying to deal with us. So we're building our own platform. So I want us to stay connected in case they eliminate me. YouTube is also another company that kind of that's actually hurt a lot of YouTube publishers. I don't really care as much about the YouTube money, but I know a lot of people who need it. And YouTube has been killing a lot of black channels too. They chopped down Tariq Nasheed's entire channel. A lot of other channels, they just demonetize them and all that. So make sure we stay in touch. Sign up at drboycewatkins.net. That's drboycewatkins.net. Also, you can get a free e-copy of my book, It Takes a Village to Raise the Bar, and you can get a free lesson on how to begin your wealth building journey. This is what your family needs to know. You know, forget all the stupidity and the nonsense and all the noise that's going on out here. Quiet power is the greatest kind of power there is. Quiet. When you get quiet on their ass, that means that they're not rattling you. They ain't got you yelling, screaming, hollering, and whining like a little baby. But you in there plotting, scheming, and planning and building. And then next thing you know, you've got an empire. And they're like, what the fuck just happened? Where did that come from? That's the kind of power I want black people to have. I don't want us to be the loudest people in the room. I want us to be in some cases, I want us to be the most quiet people in the room. Because a person who's really got power ain't got to yell and scream. All they got to do is make a decision, hit a button. All they got to do is make a phone call. And that's the kind of power I always wanted to have. So get that kind of power, and then you really be doing something. Last thing I'll say is if you want to get your children started in our wealth building programs, they're extraordinary. You can go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com. The Black Business School is now up to over 42,000 students. But you can sign up for free, but then after that, the programs have a fee, but the fee is very, very low. We have our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program for children. We have our program, the Black Wealth Boot Camp, which is really, really good. People love it. Just ask anybody who's taken it; they'll tell you they love it. The Black Stock Market program, that's an amazing program. That program, so I would swear at least 90% of the students in that program have built wealth since they started joining the class, because this is the time you do not want to not be invested in the stock market. We've also done modules on investing in Bitcoin. Bitcoin, if you follow Bitcoin, Bitcoin has been flying through the roof. I talked to my friend the other day who told me that he started investing in Bitcoin when it was just pennies. Now a Bitcoin is over $4,000, and he literally has so many millions of dollars now that all he does is travel the world because he's got millions of dollars in the bank. So you got to learn to invest. Teach your children to invest. Talk to them about it. That's what they got to do. So feel free to go check out our programs. Go to blackfinancialliteracy.com. That's blackfinancialliteracy.com, and that's it. So I'm out of here, guys. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Peace.